Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hooded Casual. Today I'm going to showcase an old project that over the past few days has finally reached a decent level. Before we dive into the details, I want to immediately let you know this Infernalist setup is pretty off meta and comes with several limitations, especially when it comes to single target damage. Throughout the video I'll stop at critical points, discuss its weaknesses, and hopefully I can get some insight from your advice and personal experience on how to fill in some of the weak spots. So, to sum it up, if you're looking for a build that's ready to go, tested, and capable of clearing all content, this is definitely not what you're looking for. But if you're here to get some ideas, learn something new, or maybe even help refine it, then stick around. I hope you'll find some useful insights from this. So, let's not waste any more time. The main and only damage skill in this build, as you can see on the hotbar, is Flameblast. It's one of the few channeling spells in the game, and it's very straightforward. You hold Flameblast, the longer you charge it, the more the damage scales, up to 10 stages, and then release to unleash its power. Our other passive source of damage is Ignite. Quick rundown. Ignite is a damaging ailment that applies a fire-based damage over time effect, and it scales based on two things: the initial hit that applies the Ignite. The higher the hit, the stronger the Ignite. Ignite Magnitude, a stat found on gear and the passive tree, increasing the effectiveness of your Ignite. Alright, with that covered, let's move on. Okay, let's now go through the passive tree. First, a quick comment on the Ascendancy, Infernalist. We start with Pyromantic Pact, so we at least don't have to worry about mana. Very quickly, this point removes our mana pool, and our maximum mana becomes maximum Infernal Flame. Mana costs become Infernal Flame gain, and when reaching the maximum, we take fire damage. That's why we need fire resistance to be as high as possible, 90% in our case. Then we have Altered Flesh, which simply gives more damage mitigation. Since taking fire damage is very manageable for us, this helps a lot. Next is Beidat's Will, which reserves 25% of our life and gives us extra spirit. We'll get back to that later. Finally, Seething Body gives us extra fire damage. Now, looking at the tree, as you can see, we simply focus on fire damage scaling, Ignite Magnitude, Fire Penetration, Area of Effect, and Cast Speed. About the important points, we need Whispers of Doom for +1 curse. We need Zealot's Oath, which will help us sustain energy shield regeneration while allowing us to take damage from Pyromantic Pact. Finally, we take some points to boost our block chance, which is important for survivability. Now we'll quickly talk about jewels. You want to reach 90% maximum fire resistance. We get 5% from our shield, which I'll show you later. For the rest, I suggest looking for some on Ruby Jewels. Now I'll prepare an ideal trade search for that, showing you how cheap they can be. First of all, when you want to search for something and have no idea what other good stats you can get on an item, I suggest going to Craft of Exile. Remember to refer to the PoE2 section and select the item you're interested in. From there, you can easily see what stats the item can roll. Once you're satisfied, go back to PoE2 trade and insert all of them. Keep the one you really need, in this case Max Fire Arez, as a must-have, and then add a mod count filter for the other stats so you can get the most value out of your jewel while keeping a good balance between price and effectiveness. In general, these stats are all good for us. Remember, Life Regen directly converts to Energy Shield Regen thanks to Zealot's Oath. Okay, now I'll quickly show you my jewels. As you can see, none of them are perfect. Also, once you cap fire resistance at 90%, you can grab some sapphire jewels since you're not restricted to ruby jewels for max fire res. From there, you can follow the same process and look for useful stats on those as well. Okay, time to quickly go over the gear. Let's start with the unique items which provide the most important interactions. First, we have Coward's Legacy, Mail Belt. We wear this only to count as low life when we are at 75% of maximum life or below. Remember, we already reserved 25% of our life from the ascendancy points, so now we're always considered low life. This brings us to the next unique, Rise of the Phoenix, Shield. This shield grants max fire res and provides constant life regeneration because we are always on low life. Important tip, sometimes this interaction bugs out and you won't get the extra fire resistance or life regen. If that happens, just go to character selection and log back in. Next, we have Candlemaker, Gloves, simple and effective, giving fire damage and double ignite chance, pretty self-explanatory. Then we have Sacred Flame, Scepter, which gives extra fire damage, and most importantly, 120 extra spirit, which is really useful for allocating other permanent buffs. For the amulet, we use Fire Flower, our final unique piece. This grants +4 to all fire skills, and we use it to allocate parrying motion, though I'm not entirely sure if this is the best choice. Now for the remaining gear, body armor, shield, boots, and rings, our goal is to cap resistances, stack life, get strength, cast speed, and some life regeneration if possible. Boost fire damage, get extra spirit on armor. Also, don't forget, you can use rune sockets on gear to cap resistances, which makes the entire process much easier. Finally, let's talk about gems. First, the blink setup doesn't need much explanation. Just remember you can add the support gem Second Wind to hold 2 uses of it. Then we have Grim Feast, which provides an extra defensive layer, paired with Vitality for additional regeneration. Next, the Blasphemy buff, which is a setup I really like. With this, we can allocate 2 permanent curses around us, Flammability and Temporal Chains. These help us move safely through packs, and we support them with Heightened Curse and Ritualistic Curse to boost their effectiveness and area of effect. Now, for Flameblast, our main source of damage. On this, we need more cast speed to reach maximum stages faster, and I personally like increased area of effect. I also support it with Momentum and Mobility, which I think is the most efficient way to boost its damage. Basically, we can move faster while casting, and if we travel at least 2 meters, the damage is increased by 40%. Finally, if something survives Flameblast, the Cast on Ignite setup should take care of the rest. This setup includes Solar Orb and Detonate Dead. Detonate Dead makes corpses explode, dealing area damage, which is very powerful for clearing. Solar Orb creates that cool animation I like, where orbs spawn on top of ignited enemies. We can easily trigger Cast on Ignite multiple times when hitting large packs of monsters. Also, as you can see here, the level of Solar Orb and Detonate Dead is kept as low as possible. This is because their mana cost scales significantly with level, and when Cast on Ignite triggers these spells multiple times, Infernal Flame reaches its maximum too frequently, causing excessive self-damage. To prevent this and maintain control over the build, I keep them at low levels. Worth mentioning that once you're comfortable in maps, you can cast Flameblast on the Solar Orb, effectively dealing damage from a distance while also benefiting from increased cast speed when targeting the orb. Additionally, since we are using a shield and have enough strength, we can include a low-level shield charge for extra mobility. This gives us an additional quick movement option. As you saw, guys, the build relies on some simple and straightforward interactions, and in its current state, it can easily clear T15 maps. However, while the survivability is decent, thanks to high resistances, some fire conversion, and 50% block chance, I really can't consider this build finished or ready to be used as a main setup, probably not even as a secondary one. It's still missing some defenses, and most importantly, it completely lacks single target damage, which I haven't been able to fix. As you can see in my inventory, I've been testing different setups with various items, but I really feel like channeling skills have very few viable options to work around. If anyone has ideas, insights, or experience with something similar, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Suggestions that don't change the core concept too much would be especially helpful. Maybe I just need to accept that this setup is only viable as a mapper and nothing more. If you found this helpful or just want to support the channel, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to share your thoughts on the build and also any feedback on the video itself. That would be greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video.